Some Wheatley residents will be waiting months to return home. Stuck in limbo, they are missing their community. Windsor's downtown farmers market is more than just a spot to pick up local goods. It's a place to plant seeds. Many businesses that started there have now grown to have their own brick and mortar buildings. A live look at the bridge there. Another cloudy day, and these overcast conditions, they are sticking around all week long. Colette Kennedy will be here later in the program for your full weather forecast. Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Thanks for watching. We're learning new details tonight about what exactly happened at the Ambassador Bridge yesterday. Windsor police say 2 grenades were discovered inside a vehicle on the Canadian side, and it prompted a traffic shutdown on the bridge for several hours. And tonight, police are saying the driver will not be facing any charges. The CBC's Jason Vio joins us live now from the bridge for more on this. Jason, take us through how the events unfolded.
Katerina, it all started around 9 yesterday morning when the Canada Border Services Agency here called Windsor Police after discovering 2 grenades inside of some sort of white, mysterious powdered substance inside of a vehicle. Now that vehicle had just come across from the U.S., made its way through primary inspection behind me, and then sent to secondary inspection when that discovery was made. And they called police. That prompted a massive emergency response, as you'll remember yesterday, shutting down this entire area right behind me, just feet from me. Windsor fire crews, paramedics, police, and the Windsor Police Explosive Disposal Unit as well, using their robot to get close initially and then gearing up their own officers to finally take a look at what really was in there. And what they found was 2 grenades that were inactive in the white powdered substance that was not hazardous. So all of this had the Canada-bound traffic closed for about 7 hours as they investigated. And of course, vehicles could use the Windsor-Detroit tunnel at that point, but trucks had to be rerouted to Sarnia's Blue Water Bridge. And it wasn't until around 4:30 yesterday afternoon did we see this area reopen and vehicles and trucks start to move through like we're seeing now.
So Jason, what do we know about the driver and why he won't be facing any charges?
Well, police say it was an adult male, an American citizen that was driving that vehicle. They won't be releasing his name. And they say the reason why they're not facing any sort of charges is because they don't believe they had any sort of intent to cause any harm. Plus, those grenades that they found were inactive and therefore not subject to any criminal charges around this type of investigation. But we did, and after that, they were turned around and sent back to the U.S., where U.S. Customs and Border Patrol there kind of received him and without any incident there. So we're unclear exactly what happened once he crossed back in. Our calls are still out to them. But we did reach back out to the Windsor Police Service just to get a sense from them, since they conducted the investigation, as to why, through their conversations with this man, he would cross an international border with 2 inactive grenades and some sort of white mysterious substance. They weren't willing to release that information to us, saying they weren't going to tell us who interviewed him, referred us back to the CBSA. I contacted the Canada Border Services Agency, who says they will be having no comment on this case as Windsor Police handled that investigation. Katerina.
Thanks for this, Jason. The CBC's Jason Vio reporting from the border live tonight. Work crews in Wheatley started a geophysical survey today. They're looking at the area around where the explosion happened more than 5 weeks ago.
The work that's underway right now, they're going to, work away at trying to find the most probable cause for the gas. And, there are some records of gas wells in the area. That'll be where they start looking, but it could be a variety of different things. So when they find it, then they can start, moving towards a solution for how it can be remediated. But until they find it, we still don't know what the cause is or where the source is.
Even as the work continues, residents of Wheatley are coming to terms with a new reality. In the summer, a gas leak explosion hollowed out the town's center and forced several residents to relocate. And hopes are that the problem will be identified and fixed. But in the meantime, it's left a hole in the community that residents are finding difficult to fill. Jacob Barker reports.
It's a bit quiet on this block of Erie Street, the regular sights and sounds being kept away by fences and police tape.
You have a camaraderie with your neighbors. Got to know some of the people over there. There's couples with young kids, and You know, they come out to the park and play, you could hear them laughing, you know, it was a good neighborhood sound. You know, well, it's quiet now.
Bob Toes has lived here for 23 years. There are 95 households in the evacuation zone. He misses his neighbors.
Well, it's disheartening. There's no life.
The explosion has also affected 39 businesses. The town center taped off means his regular meetups at the coffee shop just aren't happening.
Call it your gossip center or whatever you want. I mean, that's where you go and, you know, you sit down with your buddies and have a coffee, talk about, oh, you know, did you hear about this and this and this? And you catch up on the news, right?
That doesn't happen right now?
No. Where?
Neighbor Sharon Stasso lives right across the street, a usual hangout spot for Bob. But on that side of the tape, homes are evacuated, forced to temporarily resettle. It's been a difficult experience.
Unsettling for sure. Feeling just about every emotion.
She's just happy to have a roof over her head, but concerned what this means for the future.
But we have no property value now. You know, it's all really disconcerting that everything we worked so hard for is pretty much, it's just in a very poor state.
Toes believes in the end the area will get back to normal, but in the meantime, he's left waiting for his community to return.
I just hope they can find the source, fix it, and get the people returning.
That could take some time. The municipality estimates it could be as long as 6 months before people can come back. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Wheatley.
Another confirmation from the government that the mega hospital is going to be built. The House Speaker for the Ontario PC government says construction is 100% moving ahead. This after the hospital was mentioned as a priority during yesterday's throne speech. This is years in the making, and it's a project that's overcome a number of roadblocks around the proposed location. Mayor Drew Dilkin says the shout out during the speech speaks volumes about the province's commitment to getting it done, though more funding from the province is still needed to seal the deal, which Dilkins is confident is coming soon. It's a $2 billion project and will take 3 years to construct. In an expected move, another MPP has been tapped to replace Rick Nicholls as Deputy Speaker. Nicholls was kicked out of the Conservative caucus this summer for refusing to get a COVID-19 shot. The now independent member for Chatham-Kent-Leamington spoke to reporters this morning to announce his resignation from the Deputy Speaker role, and it came after politicians had already passed a motion to name a replacement. Nicholls said in part today, "I want to thank the media for letting me know that the government has actually already selected a replacement for me. Yes, that's correct. The government didn't let me know, but I know the individual and I wish him all the best." The new Deputy Speaker, Bill Walker, is a Tory representing Bruce Grey Owen Sound. If you've gone out to the downtown Windsor Farmers Market, you've taken a stroll through one of the city's best incubators for local businesses. In the last decade, 25 vendors have traded in their booths for keys to a storefront. CBC's Jen LaGrassa takes us to where it all begins, the market.
It's a rainy Saturday morning, and while some customers are still dropping into the market for their favorite local goods, it does mean less foot traffic. While this might have worried Sandra Joseph in the past, now that she has a storefront, the market isn't the only place she can rely on business. But Joseph credits the downtown street sale for her success.
So funny, but people will come, they will be at the end of the Felicia Street, this side of the east or west, and they will come with the smell of the food. They say, where is the smell? Where is the flavor coming from? And they'll come and stand right in front and they say, this is the place. I would definitely say that I built my clientele there at the downtown Windsor Farmers Market. That was a place where the people began to know me, began to know my food, they recognize me. And when they come to me every week after week.
The market, she says, allowed her to experiment with foods and grow her business. And she's not the only one. Those running the market say they see the growth firsthand.
Not only does the market grow bricks and mortar, but it literally grows and helps business people mature in their approach to what does it take to be a successful business person. Many of them, when they start down here, they have no clue what they're getting into. It's a laboratory. It's how you can go into a lab and experiment with your business, what works and what doesn't.
In the business community, word is getting around that the market is the place to be. Since the pandemic, demand to be a vendor has doubled. Today, there's nearly 80 marketers.
Without the downtown farmers market, we don't know what we would have done, because that is basically our storefront. And with the lockdown and everything, this is where we do most of our sales.
It's just been really awesome. We've seen quite a growth in us. There have been people that have been returning every week, and I really do notice just the people that have come back. Having a snow peak in everybody's hands is just the dream.
Part of that dream? Seeing her business turn into brick and mortar. For those working hard to get there, Joseph says to keep at it.
You have to face a lot of things before you come to this stage, but it will take one step at a time. You have to take one step at a time to come to where you are, but never to be disappointed, never to give up. It makes me so happy. Then I know that I'm somewhere. But it's a big dream, which is coming to reality.
Jennifer Lagrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
A look now at the latest COVID-19 numbers in Windsor, Essex. Today, the lowest number of new cases since early August. 11 new cases today, and right now there are 238 active cases. About half of what the region saw in the peak of the pandemic's fourth wave last month. About 60% of the cases are from variants. 11 people are currently hospitalized with COVID, and there are 23 ongoing outbreaks. Ontario will soon begin offering rapid COVID-19 tests for some schools and other childcare settings. Efforts will be focused on areas with high risk of transmission. The province's top doctor says the strategy will help identify cases and prevent school closures. One medical expert is a big supporter of the idea, and not just for schools.
My interpretation is we should be rapid testing. Of course, they're not perfect. Of course, it's not a silver bullet, but it certainly can be, if used appropriately, a very, very helpful tool in creating a safer indoor environment, like a safer school.
Public health experts say rapid tests, which can be done at home, will help break potential chains of transmission. That's because they're very good at detecting people with high viral loads. This also reduces the strain on labs that perform the more time-consuming PCR tests. Local public health units will be able to request the tests based on things like levels of transmission in a community where a school is based. A Windsor mom with 4 kids in elementary school learning in person thinks this is a great idea.
I think it's going to provide an added level of reassurance to families who do have their kids in school and maybe are feeling a bit nervous about the risk that they're encountering when they're in the classroom and when they're learning in person.
Conservative MPs are gathered today in Ottawa for their first caucus since the election loss to the incumbent Liberals. After the meeting wrapped up, party leader Erin O'Toole spoke about taking responsibility.
We are all disappointed with the result in the election, no one more so than me, which is why today we announced that Mr. Cumming, the outgoing MP, will be conducting the review. That review will involve our caucus, our National Council, the Conservative Party, and the Fund to make sure we do a 360 review on where we fell short, what we did right, so that we can win an election that could be here in the next 18 months.
He says he's looking forward to the upcoming review chaired by James Cumming, the incumbent MP who lost in Edmonton Centre. But O'Toole says he has enough support to stay on as leader. The Conservatives today also voted in favor of a measure that gives MPs power to fire the leader and launch another leadership race. What do you get when you cross a unicyclist with a guitar? One multi-talented artist that plays for crowds all over Windsor, wowing crowds and getting tips as he entertains the masses.
Okay, I ride an electric unicycle and I'm a busker. So I actually play while I ride the unicycle. So I call it the tuna-cycle. So I guess you could say I'm a tuna-cyclist. I've only started with that in the last 4 days. Before that, I was just, busking normally, playing, in front of LCBO, Walmart, Metro, wherever. Sometimes down here at the river. There is definitely a curve because you kind of have to get used to the sensation of falling, but knowing you're not going to fall because it's self-balancing, so it wants to keep you going, right? So it's all about momentum. Once you get on, you need balance to get on, but once you're on, the momentum just takes you, right? Oh, people love it. Either cheers, honks, mostly bewildered looks, This year, I got back into playing. I had kind of taken a break from it, and was just having a hard time in life, and things started really turning around for me earlier this year, and so now I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna start doing what I want to do, what I love to do, and I'm really enjoying it. Everything I do is outside, so I mean, yeah, I think if anything I've been encountering benefits because there haven't been concerts and all that, so people want live music. I think they appreciate what I do.
Someone very familiar to the Windsor community is leaving CBC News.
They have somebody who actually cares about what they're thinking, cares about the news they're getting, and makes sure that we get it right.
That is Carol Mcneal, back when she was anchoring local news right here at CBC Windsor. She was a trailblazer in this community and in the industry, just a force to be reckoned with. She then moved on to Toronto, where she anchored for years to a national audience. And now, 34 years since she started with CBC, she's signing off for the very last time from her current show, CBC Rundown, later this month. Carol says she'll have more to say on this later on, but she's grateful for her time at CBC. A big congratulations and thank you to Carol Mcneal. And a live look outside there, just overcast every single day this week. I'm not loving it, but hopefully there will be a reprieve in the near future. So Colette, she'll be here right after the break with everything we need to know about the weather. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is here now for a look at our weather forecast. Colette, if anybody had any questions about it before, about whether or not fall is here, this week just really solidifies it. It's here. There's no question.
Yeah, and it's such a weird thing when you've got humidity, but you've got this dampness, and then
it's weird.
It is. You get into that, exactly what you're saying, a fall kind of feel to things. Today, wow, really stubborn, the mist and fog and trying to break out of this. The sun was up there, but those low clouds were really, really persistent, very hard to break through. Temperatures still doing okay, and it's not just the temperatures, it's that we do have this humidity. So at this hour, we're at 19, 18 for Chatham-Kent. Harrow is coming in at 19 as well. And you see all the teens here in the southwestern Ontario. And then you can add in a little bit of a humidex, although the humidex, it really just doesn't mean as much, does it, when there isn't some sunshine to go along with it. But still, that stickiness to the air, the dampness, really, that we're seeing. So, yes, seeing some of those clouds eroding and shrinking in nature, but it's just the kind of thing where even tonight we're going to see some low-level cloud in terms of fog. It'll be patchy, but there are going to be areas with fog. And my concern for that, I know we've already got some fog and certainly had some, but I mean redevelopment. My concern for that is that the longer it lasts tomorrow morning, that could change our temperature story, because I do see us having some of this cloud cover into the earlier morning hours, and then starting, you can see the cloud deck here, starting to break out of it as we get into the afternoon. As long as that holds, I see us with actually quite a nice afternoon with some sunshine in there, but temperatures coming up into the 20s. But if we see it just holding on a little longer, that's going to hold off on things. Wednesday, a few showers want to come through later. That's into the evening. Thursday morning, isolated, and mostly it's dry. And then into the evening, again, we get into some showers. So you're going to see on the long range that I put some rain in there, but it doesn't really become more consistent till late on Thursday. Tonight, there's a look at your temperatures, with Sarnia being the coolest at 11. This is what I'm hoping for, being a little optimistic, but 24 for the high for tomorrow. Again, later on Thursday, Friday, and it's still looking iffy into the weekend, so I put a chance of showers in there, but slightly better in terms of Saturday, Sunday, looking like we might do okay.
Yeah, and at least we've still got the low 20s to hang on to.
I know, and look at these overnight temperatures. I mean, it's incredible, really, for this time of year.
Thank you so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
When we come back, someone super talented is saying hello from the other side. I will tell you who is making a musical comeback right after the break. A former Facebook data scientist testified before a U.S. Senate hearing on the company's practices. She accused the social media giant of putting profit before people and said the company's products are harmful to children, fuel division, and weaken American democracy. Magda Gabrisalesa has this report from Washington.
Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you.
Frances Haugen was very clear that public safety and democracy is on the line here. She said Facebook knows that misinformation, threats, and other forms of harm are spreading on the company's platforms, and that the well-being and mental health of young people is at risk. Now, she got emotional at one point hearing how Instagram has changed the life of a teenage girl. The chair of the subcommittee read a message that he received during the hearing from a father who said his daughter loved her body before Instagram. Now she has body dysmorphia, including anorexia. We saw Haugen wipe a tear away as that message was being read out loud. Now, throughout her testimony, she said the company knows about the harm that is being caused and is choosing not to put solutions into action, instead putting profits first. So she's calling on Congress to act, including addressing a current law that protects the company from being legally responsible for what people post.
Facebook should not get a free pass on choices it makes to prioritize growth and virality and reactiveness over public safety. They shouldn't get a free pass on that because they're paying for their profits right now with our safety.
In the end, she says the buck stops with the company head, Mark Zuckerberg. We haven't heard from him yet, but listen to the message this senator had for him.
Your time of invading our privacy, promoting toxic content, and preying on children and teens is over. We will not allow your company to harm our children and our families and our democracy any longer.
After the hearing, the company released a statement online saying Haugen didn't have any direct knowledge of the reports during her less than 2 years as a product manager, that they don't agree with her characterization, but do agree on one thing, that it is time to create standard rules for the internet. Magda Gabrisalesa, CBC News, Washington.
500 trees have been planted near a major highway east of Toronto, honoring those who lost their lives while serving their country.
To do something living to honor those that have given their lives, I think it's very poetic because it's all about making or providing a better future for the next generations of Canadians.
The trees were planted directly along the Highway of Heroes. It's part of a living memorial to the 117,000 Canadian military members who have died in service. The planting is part of the overall Highway of Heroes tree campaign. It's raised $10 million to plant 2 million trees to honor Canadian Armed Forces members. And the campaign says it expects the final trees will be planted by next year. Now, before we let you go, we are calling all Adele fans. Now, Adele is making a comeback. She released this little teaser online today, her first new music in more than 5 years. And the new song, Easy on Me, comes out October 15th, further fueling anticipation of a new album. And listening to that new song for the first time, if it's anything like Someone Like You or Hello, I'm gonna have the Kleenex box nearby. Get ready for a lot of feelings. I'm ready for it. That is it for CBC Windsor News. For more, you can check out our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. And we're on social media as well, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The Rick Mercer Report is up next. Have a great night.